In today's Gospel, Jesus tells 3 parables. Listen as I read from Luke chapter 6, beginning at verse 41. Why do you see the speck in your neighbor's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye? Or how can you say to your neighbor, "Friend, let me take out the speck in your eye," when you yourself do not see the log in your own eye? You hypocrite! First take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your neighbor's eye. No good tree bears bad fruit, nor again does a bad tree bear good fruit, for each tree is known by its own fruit. For it is out of the abundance of the heart that the mouth speaks. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I tell you? I will show you what someone is like, who comes to me, hears my words, and acts on them. That one is like a man building a house, who dug deeply and laid the foundation on rock. When a flood arose, the river burst against the house, but could not shake it, because it had been well built. But the one who hears and does not act is like the man who built a house on the ground without a foundation. When the river burst against it, immediately it fell, and great was the ruin of that house. The Gospel of Christ. Now, the first story is about the hypocrisy of trying to remove a speck in our neighbor's eye when we are blinded by the log in our own eye. This is an uncomfortable parable because it points to the very heart of our imperfection. See, the log doesn't appear suddenly. It grows so slowly that we aren't even aware that it is there. Much like the experiment where a frog is placed in a pot of water, the temperature increasing so slowly that the frog, unaware of the danger, succumbs to the heat rather than jumping out of the pot to safety. It often begins in childhood, as a defense that protected us from the uncomfortable and uncertain world around us. Paul describes this as looking through a mirror dimly. We only see in part. As an adult, we often still view the world in a narrow, egocentric way. It is influenced by our imprinting of family, societal, and religious biases. It grows steadily as we harbor resentment and bitterness for a broken marriage, the loss of a loved one, being passed over for the promotion we know we deserve. We begin to see the world with skepticism, a place that is unsafe and unfair. We unconsciously allow the log to shield us from the pain. We become adept at ignoring the things that keep us from looking at ourselves honestly. We want to believe we are kind, open, accepting, and loving people, that it is the other who is the problem. Our egos won't even accept constructive criticism, yet we have no difficulty pointing out the flaws in others. I confess that the log wedged deeply in my eye has kept me small, has often silenced me, and turned my focus inward. Now, while being a Christian has helped me to cleverly disguise it, I can't stop it from rearing its ugly head. If we try to bury those feelings deep inside, the log only grows bigger. The first step is to recognize that we have all developed defense mechanisms that have blinded us to the truth. Understanding that if we don't jump out of the pot, we will succumb to our prejudices. So why is it so easy to see the speck in someone else's eye? Well, think of a time when you got a tiny splinter in your finger. At first it stings a little, but if it's left there, it becomes red and infected. An irritant has now become the focus of all our attention. It isn't our neighbor's annoyance, but ours. To remove it means that we have to see it for what it is. Why does this trigger such an adverse reaction? Is it stirring up feelings from a past trauma? Does it mirror our own flaws? When we understand the source of our irritation, we can behave in a much more compassionate and caring manner. Now, whenever I attend a family function where my ex will be, I think of a prayer from Carolyn Mace. Please Don't let my anger cause any pain to others. This is removing the speck. I admit to myself the pain is still very real, but it is mine to carry, not to pass on to others by saying or behaving in hurtful ways. My ego wants others to understand how deeply I have been hurt. It is only God's grace that allows us to hold the hurt and not to pass it on. As we begin to honestly see our own imperfections, we chip away at that log that hinders us from being our true self. When I am confident in God's love and secure that I am really accepted just as I am, I have no need to compete for attention or feel threatened when someone else is so much more gifted than I am, or feel the need to point out or criticize flaws in others. This is the solid foundation we build our lives on. Because I have been forgiven much, I can forgive. Because I am deeply loved, I can love. Because I have been shown mercy and grace, I can offer mercy and grace. When the waters of criticism and unfairness flood over us, and they will, we can weather the storm secure in God's love. Our lives grounded in this assurance opens a channel for grace and love to flow. When we act in God's strength, we will produce fruit that is sweet. This poem, based on Psalm 139, is my prayer for each of us. May we know that we are deeply loved and accepted just as we are, wonderfully imperfect. Known by Charles Robinson. I know you. I created you. I have loved you from your mother's womb. You have fled, as you know, from my love, but I love you nevertheless, and not the less, however far you flee. It is I who sustains your very power to flee, and I will never finally let you go. I accept you as you are. You are forgiven. I know all your sufferings. I have always known them, far beyond our understanding. When you suffer, I suffer. I also know all the little tricks by which you try to hide the ugliness you have made of your life from yourself and others. But you are beautiful. You are beautiful because you yourself, in the unique person that only you are, reflect already something of the beauty of my holiness in a way which shall never end. You are beautiful also because I, and I alone, see the beauty you shall become. Through the transforming power of my love, which is made perfect in weakness, you shall become perfectly beautiful. You shall become perfectly beautiful in a uniquely irreplaceable way, which neither you nor I will work out alone, for we shall work it out together. Amen. God bless.